Hey, we're back. Al and Mike are both with me tonight. This is Politics and Preppers. We're here at TalkShoe.com, Saturday night, 10 p.m. Central Time. And so far, I think we've only missed one night. And I don't remember why. I think it was technical difficulty, but I don't remember for sure. None of us have anything special tonight, But I did come across a couple of things that I wanted to discuss. One was, I was going through a bunch of the coins we got, and I was trying to figure out, we got a whole bunch of Mexican pesos from back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s range, and I was trying to figure out if any of them had a high content of silver or not. And so far, I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like it. But I was thinking, silver and gold, depending on what you think is going to happen, might be a good investment, but the prices are so dang high, I have a hard time getting myself to buy something that's that high, knowing that it's got to come down someday, unless it's not something really bad does go down. But I guess if you can afford it and you're planning for a collapse to the point where having gold is going to be usable right away, which to me, I don't think that would happen. I think if we had a collapse of any type that really got to the point you'd even need the gold, I think it would collapse even further than that. And at least for the beginning of it, nobody would give a shit about the gold or silver. They'd care about food and water and a place to stay and, whatever, medicine or whatever. So I really don't promote that, but I figured if I could go find through my stuff, and I found some stuff there that was worth more to sell it outright as a coin to a collector, and I found some that looked like they probably have some silver in it and maybe enough to be worth something. But if you have, unless it's like a coin that's pretty much pure silver, it's really, to the novice, he wouldn't know whether it was a good coin or not. And how many of us do know by looking at coins how, what their value is in silver or gold some people are like hoarding pennies for copper, especially the old wheat ones, remember, with the little wheat thing on the back sides of it?
How many wheat pennies could you have?
Oh, shit, these guys are going out and getting shitloads. They're going out and buying a whole case of them. And then
so they don't really have much collector value.
Right. Well, they got about 3 cents collector value on the wheat pennies.
Mm.
And I think that might depend on what year, but let's just say for the most part, they're, wheat pennies are going to be worth about 3 cents. And
pennies are a dime a dozen.
So not quite. But anyway.
Well, you don't get any of that in change.
Yeah.
Those true copper pennies never show up in change.
Very seldom, but they're going to banks.
Right.
And buying them by the shitload and then going through and picking out the good ones and then go turn them back in and then do it again. So the only thing they're losing is their time and effort, which is, to me, not worth it. But they're betting on that the price of copper will go up someday and make it worthwhile. I don't really think I want to put that kind of effort into something like that. But for somebody who's got more time than money, like a lot of us, that really wants to do something, that might be something to look into. For me, no, it wouldn't. It's, by the time I drive up there, get them, come back, if you don't get a bunch of them out there, it's not worth your gas. And then if you count the time that it takes to sort through them, it's just not worth it. Now, some of them come with pretty ingenious ways of sorting them. Like they'd make like a little ramp that slides, and the center part would be like a scale. But, you put a certain amount of weight on the back end of that scale, and when that penny slides across the top of it, or a nickel, whatever, if it weighs more because of the copper content or the silver content, it'll drop off. If it's the right weight, that's not means it's no good, then it just goes right across, and then, so it separates them. And then they've got ones you can buy that are already set up for that. But I thought I'd bring that up because it was kind of interesting, and I was kind of ended up over there by accident the other night. You know how it goes, and you're watching videos, and you see something interesting, and you just follow off, and you never know where you end up. And I thought that was kind of interesting what they were doing there, so it's kind of an idea for somebody to look into. But like I said, for me, it's not really feasible. But it would have been nice to find more silver in my collection. But I think I found more coins that were worth more just to sell. And I don't think I'm going to sell them. Hang on to them. I've never sold any coins that I've ever collected. I don't really plan on it now.
Yeah. I've never collected coins.
Well, I really haven't done it in years. I used to kind of do it a little bit when I was younger. And my dad's got a whole bunch of the stuff that I collected from years ago, and he was a big collector, and still does, but not as big as he used to about it. I got a whole bunch of stuff down there, but I got remember those old, well, I don't know if Mike's old enough to remember this. Back in the days when electronics was tubes, they had cases that you had compartments in it for different types of tubes. And this one's a Sylvania, but it's kind of a neat little case. It folds out like a toolbox type of deal, or the old fishing boxes. They fold out on both sides, and you've got different trays in them, kind of like that. And I think
like the ones they used to have thread. My grandmother had like a tackle box looking thing. It had thread.
Maybe I don't remember. But anyway, that box is probably worth as much as the coins I got in them. Because for a collector's item, there's I think I saw a while back, depending on which brand it was, there were some pretty good money. I might look that up, but I don't plan on getting rid of that either. I like having it. It reminds me of my days of back in school working on TVs, and I had a lot of fun doing that job. I did come up with something that really more for the fun of it. We're talking about being able to come up with different ways for power and stuff. Now, guess if you're a redneck, you'd probably have this stuff out there already. Might just have to mow your yard down to find the old cars and trucks out there. But if you took an old lawnmower and found, okay, let's say shit hits a fan and there's you're in town and people have hauled ass. Well, they're probably not going to take all their cars. There's probably going to be some cars left over. There may be some fuel in some of the tanks. But you could say, go and get the batteries out of some of these cars, the alternators out of some of these cars. Probably going to be some lawnmowers sitting around. And if you can get some of that fuel, you could put yourself together fairly easily a nice little generator, because you could take that motor off, put a pulley on it, and you could probably find a pulley on someplace in a car you could modify to work with a belt or a chain, bicycles, chain or something. And you could probably put something together by tying one or two or three, depending on how many you get of those alternators together, and then you could charge up batteries, and you could have some power that way. Plus, you could take the 12-volt lights out of the cars to give yourself some light. And if you had a converter, 12 to 110, you could hook that up to the batteries that way. But that was I thought it was, pretty simple, cheap way to go if you were found in that situation where that stuff was available. Of course, fuel's not going to last you very long, but if you can, anything to get you through the early part of something bad. Might be worth it. You know, a lot of us have lawnmowers already at the house anyway. I don't think you'd be too worried about mowing your yard.
Well, I mean, if you had something that wiped out all the cars, like like that EMP,
Yeah.
then it's going to be probably a fuel, maybe.
There's probably going to be a lot of fuel left over there for a while.
From 99.9% of the.
Yeah, and I do
run.
think most of the alternators would probably make it to an EMP unless that EMP blast was close. But I'm not 100% sure of that. It just looks like it. I was looking at, where was I going with that? I just lost track. I was looking at something, but I'll be danged if I can remember what it was now. Kind of on that topic.
It just reminded me of something.
Well, maybe you can come up with something while I'm trying to remember something.
No, I was watching this video of Rachel Maddow.
Oh, God, I can't stand her.
Yeah, she's annoying, Sal.
I can't watch her. I like to watch The Enemy and see what they're talking about, but I cannot.
Yeah, it's it's really on both sides, but news reporters aren't reporting news.
No,
it's all op-ed. It's more than op-ed. It's just opinion. And then she has a spiel about Obama getting reelected, and she goes off about, oh, no, FEMA's not really making concentration camps, and the deficit's actually going down. I'm like, so she was basically saying all this shit that the conservatives are worried about happening isn't really happening.
What kind of math is she using?
I don't know.
$1 trillion a year?
Yeah, it's actually going down.
That we're borrowing to pay for shit?
And the elections aren't rigged. And blah blah blah.
Yeah, the government borrows 47 cents of every dollar they spend.
Yeah, I mean, even if you could spend the numbers however you want, but our spending's out of control.
Yeah, it is. And no matter what they say, if you're borrowing, one money that you're taking in, it's going to catch up to you sooner or later. And when they sit there and tell us, well, we're going to cut spending, first we need some taxes. And then they never get to the cut spending. Because you ever notice that it's always, well, we got to have the taxes first, and then we'll cut spending later. And then it never happens.
No one wants to cut spending.
I do.
It's crazy. Well, no, I know, but I've been watching. I'm on Rand Paul's thing on Facebook, so I know everyone's mad at him for endorsing Romney, but the dude's he's trying to do the right thing, I think.
And I'm not sure if he is or not. I'll reserve judgment. I don't like what he did, but I'll reserve judgment.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one talking about anything that makes sense,
Well, damn, they're not going to. As long as they care more about their power than what is right or wrong, they're not going to do the right thing. They're never going to cut spending. They're never going to do the right thing, and they don't give a shit. And that's what leads credence to me to figure out that shit is rigged, shit's fixed, because otherwise they would be doing the right thing. And the ones that maybe want to do the right thing get blackmailed for some reason or another, whether it's set up or real. I just get me all worked up again. And I'm really starting to think about getting involved with the politics around here. And I'm just so fed up with it. I really don't care what anybody in this town thinks. If they like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't. They can kiss my butt if they don't like me. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
I don't really have that much to do with anybody anyway. I've got people that I go see, I hang around with. We get along fine. Most of it. Huh?
Should run for justice of the peace.
Well, I guess you got a reason for it, so why don't you tell me why?
Well, I'm just going to tell you can. You don't have to have any, you don't have to be a member of the bar or anything.
Oh, well, I wasn't meaning I was going to run for something. I was going to start showing up to meetings, council and stuff, and start raising hell.
got a lot of control, a lot of power as a justice of the peace.
What's a justice of the peace do other than marry?
He stands there and does whatever the police officer beside him tells him to do.
Well, no, they don't tell him what to do.
Because one time I had anything to do with the justice of the peace. It was for the highway patrol, wrote me a ticket. And we went to this little justice of the peace, had a little building on the side of 35 out near the Bronzeville's. This was quite a few years ago, though. And when we went to court, all the justice of the peace ever did was, what do y'all normally do? And he was asking the police officer that was there with him. Not the one that, gave me the ticket, but he was a DPS officer. And I'm going, why are you asking him? Why don't you just trade places? Let him be the judge, because apparently you don't know what you're doing.
You're an idiot there.
Pissed him off. And I knew I wasn't going to get out of the ticket, and I don't even remember why I decided to go that way. Don't remember what it was, but I went anyway. Knowing me, I may have done it just for the experience, to see what it was like.
And have you ever checked out Rule of Law Radio?
No, I think I've heard it, and I think I've stopped by a couple of places that talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you should listen to it.
But I don't remember if I listened to it or not. I know I stopped by and listened to one once that would have been on that topic a while back. And it was interesting.
Yeah. The one thing I find fascinating about it is you start digging into the traffic laws. And did I lose you guys?
No, we're still here. Well, you got us completely our attention here.
You start digging into the traffic laws, and you'll find that all traffic laws are written for commercial vehicles. There are no traffic laws for the private vehicle. And the way they write you tickets is they allow yourself, you actually allow yourself to fall under the jurisdiction of the commercial entity or as a commercial vehicle.
And how are we allowing ourselves to do that?
Well, by allowing yourself to be called driver, you're driving instead of saying you're traveling. The guys that go all the way with this, they have no driver's license, no license plates, no registration on their car. They actually they file an affidavit to the state and have their car removed from the state of Texas. Not physically removed from the state of Texas, but removed from the corporate state of Texas. And I've actually seen seen people with no license and stuff on their cars, and I finally realized that's what they were doing. But if you go look at all traffic laws, you will find they are all under commercial code. And
well, what happens to these guys when they go to court? Because they're going to be pulled over all the time.
Oh, they sue big time, and they become wise to them real quick. Check out that Rule of Law Radio. The guy that runs it is a former deputy sheriff in, I want to say Waco or somewhere, but there's cops. They violate the law by merely pulling you over. Well, first of all, traffic court is not even, it's an administrative court. It's not a criminal court, and it's not a civil court. It's an administrative court. And so by appearing in the traffic court, and there's all kinds of motions and stuff you file and to try to, have the case thrown out by the fact that you're not under that jurisdiction. And you just have to listen to the show, and people call in there and tell the results, how they've beaten tickets, and they get them thrown out. For one thing, a lot of the judges, they don't want, once you start going down that road, they don't want the other people in the court to hear it.
Yeah.
So they a lot of times dismiss it because of that. And one of the things I heard the other day, I was listening to one of the programs, and even in the commercial vehicles like trucks, big trucks and stuff, there are only 57 police officers in the state of Texas that have been certified to even stop a vehicle. And they get certified in a county. For instance, a state trooper, he gets if he gets certified to even stop a vehicle, he gets certified in a county, then he can actually only do that. He can actually only stop a vehicle in that county. And they're supposed to be commercial vehicles. But we all get tricked into allowing ourselves to be put under the jurisdiction of that administrative court. And that's how they get us.
Well, I've seen some videos where when the police officer pulls them over or stops them, whether it be in a car or not, they just keep asking, whoever the individual is just keeps asking back, well, what gives you the authority, and asking questions and not answering, because if you admit you're the driver, like you were talking about a while ago.
You're traveling. Right. Your private vehicle.
Right. And they ask for the driver's license. Well, what gives you the right to ask me for my driver's license? That kind of thing. What law is this or that, whatever's going on. And, it's pretty interesting stuff. I don't know if I have the balls to go through it.
Yeah.
The hassle that it would create. But
I feel like there's like a blacklist to put you on.
A lot of do what?
I feel like there's like a blacklist they'll put you on or something.
I wouldn't doubt it. They'd probably put you on the no travel, and then when they get through with this other crap, they'd say you can't buy a gun because you're on the no travel, on no fly list.
No drive list.
Yeah.
Well, see, that raises an interesting thing there. The first, if you look at the Texas State Constitution, the very first thing in there is you have free and uninhibited travel on the highways and the byways within the state. So by putting you on a travel list or no travel list, that would be an inhibited state there, or they'd be inhibiting your travel.
Well, to me, that means that turnpikes, toll roads would be illegal because you have to pay for it.
Well, no. That's been ruled in court. They can build a road and charge a toll on it only until it's paid for.
But they don't do that. They keep going.
Well, they
got to maintain it.
They tried that. If you remember this, the turnpike between Dallas and Fort Worth, they tried that there, and that was a lawyer sued, and they had to immediately take the thing off. The only way they get around it is like the Dallas North Tollway. Every time they get close to getting it paid for, they extend it, 10 or 15 more miles, and so they can keep doing it. So the big joke around here is, well, as soon as it gets to the border of Oklahoma, they'll have to stop it. But they cannot take an existing road in the state of Texas, constitutionally turn it into a toll road. And
that's what they're trying to do on 281 on the north side of San Antonio. They're trying to take existing ones and turn it into, and then leave you the excess roads.
No,
and then
what they do in that, they've done it around here, build a new road parallel to it, and that's the toll road, and then they'll basically turn the original road into a sort of like a parallel, free road or whatever. But
and they'll put lights at every damn intersection, so it's have to slow you down and piss you off.
Right? Yeah, they do that. They'll do that. But
this one they got it stopped for at least for now. But no, they were talking about they were actually trying to use the existing road. Even if they were going to tear it up and rebuild it, it was still an existing road. So that stopped them, I guess, for the time being. And then they went back and redid some stuff and put these weird turn lanes, and it's not much better than it was before. But luckily, I don't go through there. And I don't have any reason to go through there. I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done that to a few roads around here where they'll build a new road parallel to it and make that the easier traveled road, but it'll be a tollway. And of course, most of these toll roads in Texas are owned by that Spanish consortium. I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot it was Spanish, but yeah, I think that That's who they were talking about. This one over here was being done by.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what that other thing was when I was talking about the lawnmowers and stuff. Oh, I know what it was. The back to that topic for a little bit, and I'd like to come back to what we were on just a minute ago a little bit. But while I remember, I was looking at vehicles, bug-out vehicles, the best kind of bug-out vehicles to have, and I already knew that the older ones without computers, and the ones with points and plugs, and not the HEI distributors and stuff, but the points and plugs. Those are the better ones to have because less likely for it to be affected by the EMP. But I still think if an EMP went off close enough to one of those, it would still maybe damage some of the like diodes in the alternator and stuff, which you can still get it started maybe if that's all it damaged. But you wouldn't be able to go very far without, replacing that electricity, which I guess, hell, you could probably run a little generator in the back of it, and like if you had a truck, put a little generator in the back of it, run 12 volts up to the battery and keep it charged that way.
Well, from what I understand, an EMP, if you look at the one that they did in Russia where they did that test back in the late 50s, it actually melts the wires. Because if you look at...
Right, if it goes off close enough, it's going to melt your wires.
Well...
Especially the smaller wires.
Well,
but I think it was some bigger wires they were talking about. Wasn't it pretty heavy gauge?
Yes, and not only that, when they had a bunch of generators and motors and stuff down, in the test area, and they forgot there was a buried power cable that went 300 miles away, and it went the whole distance and set that power plant on fire 300 miles away. So, if that's the case, no matter how old your car is, you would have to at least replace your wiring in it.
Yeah. Well, they went as far as, which I don't know how many of them are left out there, but some of the older cars that had diesel motors in them, they don't use a plug to fire the cylinder off.
Right.
So you don't have power there.
The glow plug.
Right. Once you get that thing started, you don't need electricity.
Right.
So Jim and I were talking the other day, we both like Chevy pickup trucks. We go find us a diesel motor from something old and stick in there, and there's our bug-out vehicle. Because we got the knowledge. I mean, he's a much better mechanic than I am, but between us, we could do that pretty easily. That would be pretty cool, but I don't think it's going to be anything on the top of the list to do. But it would be. I think it'd be fun. I'd like to get me one of an old trucks again and four-wheel drive and have another one just for the heck of it. I used to enjoy the hell out of going out with the four-wheel drive.
Maybe you can get you an EMP tarp. They have EMP bags.
Yeah, did you see that?
What?
The EMP bag thing I saw a little while back. Did you see a video on that or something?
No, but you can buy them. Yeah. There's places that sell EMP bags where you can put stuff in the bags to protect it from EMPs. Maybe you could get some kind of tarp like that and buy yourself a vehicle and keep it under that tarp.
Yeah, I was watching something on, it was Doomsday Bunkers is back on right now, but it's the reruns. I don't think the new one's out yet. And if it is, I haven't seen it. And they had one where it was like a little triangle one. Not a triangle, but half a diamond shape, something like that, And it was all metal, and they put some other stuff on it to make it fire resistant and heat resistant and stuff. And they dropped the car on it, and it didn't do anything to it. So they decided, okay, well, now we're going to test it for fire. And they sent one of the guys in there with a fire suit on and a radio and everything. And this thing is all metal, no windows. There's one door, but it's all metal door. And they're calling him on the radio, trying to see if he's okay. And he answered after a while. But I'm thinking, what we were talking about, taking trash cans and stuff? and you take your little AM radio and you put it in there, and the way to test it is put the top on it, make sure it's closed all the way, and if it doesn't get a signal,
right,
then there's your test to know that it works, you know.
Right.
Well, how are these guys talking to him through a, you know, half-inch steel plate with a radio? Unless it has something to do with, you know,
well, it probably
it's several watts per on the radio at a really close range.
Well, there's probably air vents or something.
No, as far as I can see, nothing, because he had an air tank on him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And of course it was on fire, so they wouldn't have had an air vent in there but still, again, even if the model that went on the market had air vents in it, this one didn't. And then some smoke got in because the door wasn't sealed 100%, but still, it should have been, that shouldn't have been able to get a radio signal to it. And we have, at work, we have a metal building, and inside that metal building, we've got one of those big containers you use on trucks, whatever the dang name of them is again, the shipping containers.
Right.
And that room is got insulation on it. Of course, the whole thing is metal. It's got insulation on it. On the inside, it's got aluminum foil on one side and then insulation on the other side. And if I close the door, now of course that door is not completely sealed, and there is vents at one end. But when I talk on the two-way radio with that door closed, because I've tested it, we played around with it one day, they can still hear me at the other side of the place on the radio. So what I'm getting at is basically is whatever you come up with to do, if you're going to do something, make sure you got tested. But I'm wondering if, even then, if it's a good test, a complete test.
Yeah, maybe,
you know,
maybe it may be the fact that those trash cans are galvanized steel.
It could be. I just, you know, there's some questions here that I just don't have the answers to right now. And that's what I like to do, is bring up questions, because we don't like to take anything for granted. If you're going to have something, you need to know it works. So if you're going to go out and spend the money and say, what I'm going to do is Jim and I were talking the other day, and I'm going to go ahead and get a shortwave radio or a ham radio, because he's got one. So if something does happen, me and him can communicate and get each other lined up to where we're going to meet or whatever, because, you know, plans can change. Things can happen where you can't go where you really wanted to go. And we have, you know, several different places that we can go. But we're going to need a way to let each other know. So I'm going to take one of my ammo cans, and I'm going to put the communications in there, and that should be fine. But if I'm going to go spend the money on that, because those ham radios and stuff to reach that far out are not going to be cheap. So I don't want to invest the money and then not have it there. Plus, if I did get into the situation and it didn't work, well, my whole plans are pretty much screwed, except for to go to one of the places and hope that everybody else shows up there too.
Right.
You know, and of course you could do that, and it's better than nothing. But it's not as good as if you have a group of people that you trust that have mixed knowledge that you can all put together and use.
What about a shortwave radio?
Well, it might be a shortwave radio.
Because the shortwave radio would communicate even further than ham.
Yeah, but they're not cheap, unless you really want. Oh, you can get. I guess there's a cheap one out there, but I usually don't go cheap, and I don't go to the highest end either. I like to get kind of the middle of the ground, and I still have to go. I got to go see what's on the market now. I used to know a lot more about them than I do now. I've got a CB out there that would probably reach that far, but
how far are you trying to reach?
About 20 miles. But I got an amp on it, an old linear amp. But that thing's sitting so long, I don't know if it even works anymore.
Well, y'all could get carrier pigeons.
I thought those were extinct.
Huh?
Those were messenger pigeons. They're extinct.
Yeah. Carrier pigeons still exist.
Oh. Well, I had pigeons when I was younger. I enjoyed them. We sent shit back and forth.
Yeah.
Frank would take one of mine, and I'd take one of his, and we'd send messages back and forth. Just it's right down at the end of town, though, a mile or two. But we had fun with that. And I had one. I'm getting off the topic, but I had one that this was back when I was in school. It would come out to the front of the house where I caught the bus, and it would follow the bus to the school. And then sometimes it would be sitting at the tree at recess, and they'd be sitting out there at the tree waiting for me. And then follow the bus back home.
That's true.
Well, that was when I only had one, and if you have one, it's like that's his whole world revolves around that one person.
Right.
So, you can kind of see it getting that close of a relationship. But I remember one day I thought that bird was dead. There was a hawk out circling around. I had let him out to, the pigeon out to go fly around, get some exercise. And there was a hawk up there that I didn't hear or see before I let him out. And he was out flying around, and all of a sudden I see him just take a dive. And he just rolled into a dive and came straight down in and just right into the top of the big cage I had for him. And that hawk followed him and almost killed himself. Feathers everywhere. Well, that was neat. I wish I would have had we had video cameras back then that we could download to YouTube.
Yeah, that'd been a good one.
Yeah. But we didn't have that stuff back then. We still had a party line back then, if I remember right. And for y'all that don't know what a party line is the whole community has the same telephone line, and you have to pick it up and ask, see if there's somebody else on it and wait your turn type deal. And if you had somebody that liked to talk a lot,
you could listen in.
Yeah, you could listen in on the conversations, so you had to be careful. But everybody knew what was going on in that town anyway, because it was such a small town. There was no secrets.
Of course, they're listening in anyway.
Yeah, now we got the government listening to everything. Which, that's why I'm not too careful about what I say, because I'm not trying to hide anything, and they're going to figure it out anyway. I could go get an email that was coded and all that kind of stuff, but they're going to listen on my cell phone. They're going to listen to this show. They're going to listen to the home phone. They're going to look at your emails. Even if it was protected, they know how to get into them.
Did you see where that prepper got arrested the other day for saying he disliked Obama and stuff? And
no, I didn't hear that. But I'll tell you right now, in case they're listening, I don't like him either. He sucks. He's a communist or whatever. The most dangerous thing that happened to this country. So if you don't like it, come get me. Okay, go ahead.
Well, anyway, it was on the Alex Jones show. They showed the local television report on it, and the SWAT team showed up, and he wasn't there. They raided his house. He wasn't there, so they were still looking for him. And he had made some comments about how he disliked Obama. No threats now. He was just saying, he didn't like him, etc. And so they raided his house. They found some weapons. They were trying to say that the weapons were possibly illegal. They never said they were, but that if they turned out to be illegal, that he would be in trouble. But the fact of the matter is, they still raided his house. And
just for talking.
Yeah, for political reasons.
Right, not even threatening anybody, just saying you don't like them.
No, he never. Yeah, even on the news they said he never threatened anybody. He wasn't making threats. He just, it just shows you where we're at in this country. That's been, the main, that's been the battle cry for ages, that you had total freedom of speech.
Well, I remember when, if somebody admitted they were a socialist, they were damn careful about who they said it to, and probably didn't say it. Now they're straight out and tell you, well, I'm a socialist.
Yeah.
And proud of it. And I can't understand, I know that it happens throughout history. People look to the government for answers and think, this isn't fair, that's not fair, let's make everybody share. Well, it doesn't work, and it never will.
No.
You're trying to tell them that the Rachel Maddow, or whatever her name is.
Oh, well, I bet
it's Rachel.
Yeah.
Maddow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet she doesn't share. I bet she gives less to charity than most people.
No, but the whole point is, like, she probably does. That's the point of capitalism. You rely on people and the, citizens to share, not the government.
Right.
But I bet she doesn't share. I bet she doesn't go.
She probably doesn't. She believes that the government should share.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could remember who it was, but there was some political person that got caught with a gun at some airport who was a big anti-gun advocate. I can't remember who it was now. I think it was in Chicago. God.
It's another one to do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, which is typical.
Well, yeah, but Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize too. So
Yeah,
See what?
God, such a big joke. Obama winning the Nobel Peace Prize. That was
right before he bombed everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the next 4 years are going to lead up to, but
I can tell you,
I'm worried.
he'll be an absolute dictator before the next 4 years are up.
Well, I know that's what a lot of people are saying, and I hope they're wrong, but I can see it. I can see him pulling that.
He'll have his civilian police, whatever it is, that's more powerful than the military.
Oh yeah, I remember him talking about having that. Which it probably went right over most people's heads, but that is what stuck right out at me when he first said it.
Yeah, he'll have TSA will be everywhere on the streets. They will have a no travel. You will have to have work permits and travel permits. Just
unless you're illegal.
Right. Yeah, you have diplomatic immunity then.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that we ended up like Australia, where they pass a carbon tax and then you get a ticket for even saying anything bad about the carbon tax.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll be.
I don't see how the people of Australia could even let that happen.
Well,
they love their freedom too.
They gave up their guns.
Just,
they gave their guns up. That was it.
Yeah, and I heard something about that a while back, how that happened, and it was kind of strange, but I don't remember the details of it, so I'm not going to even try to go.
No, they thought they could just get by with those big knives. That didn't.
They were going to ride kangaroos and use big knives.
I think they watched Crocodile Dundee one too many times.
Well, I've been trying to figure out more ways to get more storage because I don't want to spend much money on shelving and stuff and take up a bunch of room in the house, even though I am going to do some of that. But off the air, I'm going to tell y'all later, or sometime when we're talking, I'll tell y'all. But I'm not going to go into the details right now. But what I will say is if you own a house, especially if you own a house, because you can make some changes without permission that way. But it might possibly, some of it might work even if you're just renting or leasing a house and you plan on staying for a while. Look at your house and give it some long thought about what you can do if you need more room for storage when you get to that point. And if you want more room for storage, of course. But use your head a little bit, even if you have to go sit in a nice little quiet room with everybody leaving you alone for a while, and just let your brain work on it without a bunch of distractions.
Are you talking about secret rooms?
Well, it could be secret. It could be just modifying something that's there or using something that's there that's staring you in the face and it just never occurred to you to use it. That's what happened with me. I don't have to modify a damn thing, but I found that I've got some room that I can use as long as I get the right storage containers, and it would be perfect for I can put a lot of stuff there.
Your attic?
Nope, not my attic. I'll tell y'all later.
Yeah.
I just want people to think.
You're talking about your closet, aren't you? No kidding. Seems too obvious.
Yeah. Well, I did say obvious, and this is obvious. Okay. Not that obvious. But there are some things you could probably find that you can find some extra room.
If you did it in your closet, you talking about giving up your closet as a closet and turning it into a storage room, or?
Well, I have a closet you could do that with, and nobody would probably realize that half the closet was missing. But I'm not doing that.
Underneath a stairwell?
No, but that's a good one. You know,
when my dad built our first house, he had like in the wall, like between the bathroom and the bedroom, there was like a dead space where you could climb to the attic through the basement, and there was like a secret hatch.
Well, there's places where
it would open.
There's places in houses I've seen that have a lot of wasted space inside walls, whether it be a stairwell that has no storage room underneath it, and they didn't use all that room underneath it for space to store stuff. There's places like that where there was one I saw, and it probably had, from the very bottom end of the doorstep, about 10 steps up, was where the next wall underneath there came in, and it was all empty and was all sheetrocked out, where you couldn't see that it was even there. But it was a closet beside it. You could cut a little doorway in that one and use that whole area for storage. And it really, 10 steps up is not real high, but you start looking in there, that's quite a bit of room, quite a bit of food you could store in there. And it would be in an area that was maintained inside the house at it would be a dark area. It would be probably a fairly cool area because it is kind of isolated from the rest of the house.
Now, are you doing this to hide it, or are you just doing it for
storage?
Okay.
Of course, you could use it for hiding, too, if you wanted to, but you would be more hiding it from somebody breaking into your house.
Right, because if it comes down to it,
if it comes down to it, the police can find it.
Yeah, they're going to use sonar and the radio. What am I thinking of? Sonogram type stuff.
Yeah,
and that's why I've been I keep trying to figure out a place if it comes down to it where you're going to hide your guns. It's going to be almost impossible to hide it on your property.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've stated before. I have a couple stashed on my property, but not much. Most of it's fairly close, but it's not on my property. And I can get to it, and it would be very hard for them to figure out where it was at. I told y'all about, finding and putting it underneath a concrete slab to where if they did use a metal detector, they would be detecting the metal in the concrete. There's lots of different things you could do with that.
Yeah, I kind of thought about underneath the air conditioner, set the outside. Right. It's set on a metal. Sitting on a concrete slab, and but
I told you all about putting them in fence post holes.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you could do, I've been thinking about this, is if it comes down to you see this coming down to where they're going to start coming to your homes and stuff. You could almost rent a storage place somewhere and store your stuff outside, as long as they don't go around and break in all those and look in those, And they probably would if they were going to go that far with it. They probably would do something like that too. Because there'd be, they're not going to be able to hit everybody all at once anyway. So that we're talking about a lot of time here for you to prepare for something like that once you hear it's going on. But I would do a little bit of it at least before anything ever happened, because you don't know where in that lineup of, who's going to be gone after first. Yeah. And you may be near the top of that list or in that area that first gets hit.
I wonder if there's a market for, like, secret underground storage rentals.
I don't know. But if it was secret, how would anybody find out about it?
That's the whole challenge of the marketing.
You have to be by word of mouth, and then you would have people that...
I shouldn't even be saying it on the air.
No, they'll have to kill you.
Well, even if it was secured somehow, I don't know, just something interesting.
Well, there's a problem I see there. First thing, it would have to be only by very trusted people you had, and even then you wouldn't be able to trust them, because if they get arrested and they get beat up enough or threaten their family enough, they would tell them things to try to get out of it or to try to help their family. So they would give that place up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying it has to work. It just has to be marketable.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of things that are marketable that
some city goer might just want it. So.
Well, in Missouri, there's a lot of underground storage, warehouses. Like for instance, up in St. Louis, there's a whole bunch of them underground. They can drive big trucks down in there.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I saw that, and I tell you what, that looked a lot like those places there.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it would be very easy to go there and film that and then call it that. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to. I don't doubt that they have those, but looking at what they were showing on there, that's exactly the way it looks up there in St. Louis in those underground warehouses. And you can go in those. I mean, they're not a big secret up there.
Yeah, and that one wasn't a secret. But as big as that place was, you might be able to drive there around a long time before you come up with the one that somebody says, no, you can't go any further.
Well, I don't know. The ones I went to, I pretty much drove all over them because I got lost most of the time. It's pretty easy to get lost in them. But I know this: your telephones don't work under there. And that's the thing that used to get me. I'd get in there and it'll have the wrong address, and then I have to drive all the way back outside to use the telephone to call in. But I tell you what, the temperature is perfect, 70 degrees year round.
Well, did you see the part where the guy building that big mansion was one of the defense contractors, and he's building that place bulletproof? It's like 70,000 square feet house, and there's no telling how much underneath it there is. But
no, I didn't see that one. Is it fireproof too?
I suspect it would be the way they were building it, because it was really thick walls, brick walls, and I don't know what they were using for the plating, but they said it was bulletproof.
Well, you know what they'll do with that one? They'll drop one of those bunker busters on him. Be rid of him.
And they were speculating because of the location to those big caves that they were showing, the big storage caves, whatever you want to call them.
When he's a contractor, he'd have to drop it on himself.
Yeah, he's got connections.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the same was the same show, but it was conspiracy theory, and they had. A lot of the space travel stuff right now has gone to private businesses, and one of them that was involved, and again, I'm terrible with names, big name in the industry, you're not supposed to have weapons in space, and we've got treaties, we're not supposed to have weapons in space, which I don't think any of us believe that we don't have some up there. But you're not supposed to, right? And he has an exemption from that. He's the only one that has an exemption from that, which means he can have military firepower up there. But not only that, when you call, say you think you see in the UFO and you call in, and they'll direct you towards, they'll tell you who to call, right, to report it to. And it goes to one of his companies. He gets to decide which ones are reported or not reported.
This is not the guy that runs Virgin Airlines and all that. What's his name? The British guy?
I don't think it was him. That's what I thought it would have been in the first place, but I don't think it was him. I may have recorded that one. Because Jesse Ventura is the guy that does this show, and it was hard to find. And finally, when I did find it on, I went ahead and set the record on it. Yeah. So, and I think they canceled some of the shows, sort of the last show or something, but for whatever reason, I don't know, but there was some hanky-panky going on there too. But I figured, since it was on at a time that I never seemed to find it, I went ahead and recorded it. I think. Yeah, I recorded 1, 2, 3.
One of the shows, they claimed that they erased the DVR recordings. Where everybody.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. This one's not been. These have not been erased though yet.
and people were saying, "Oh, how can they do that?" Well, Amazon can also erase books off your Kindle even after you bought them.
Yeah, and that's not a secret. They could do that. They could do the other.
Yeah.
See, I made some notes here. Oh, something I think we may have touched on before, but you could get a little ammo box and put a little foldable roll-up solar panel in there. Find you a battery that fits inside there, and you could have yourself a little portable generating station. Plus, you could get a little crank generator to put in there and use that. Set it up where you could crank your, charge your battery from a crank. That might be something. It wouldn't be really expensive. That might be something people might want to look into.
No, do what now?
Take like an ammo box.
Huh?
All right. So there's your Faraday cage. All right. And you put your little small solar panel in there, whether it be a fold up or roll up, but something that fits inside there. And because they do have them on the market, and then you could find yourself a battery that fits in there, but leaves you room for your other stuff. Put that in there, and maybe some 12-volt lights or something. And you could also get one of the little hand crank generators you could stick in there with it, so you could generate your own power if you needed to, if you didn't have solar when you needed it or something. And that would be a nice little protected from EMP emergency little power supply, which wouldn't be too expensive to put together.
No.
And of course, it's really not going to do you a whole lot of good, but just having light sometimes can make a difference,
Well, I've been buying those Rayovac wine, flashlights that
the shake up ones or the right?
No. These you wind, and these are the best ones I've seen yet. You'll wind 1 minute, gets you about 3 or 4 minutes of light, and they're really, really good. They're about $8 to $10 at Walmart when you find them there. They stay sold out. So people are buying these things like crazy, evidently. And you can order them off of Amazon. I've seen them on Amazon. They're about $10 on Amazon. But it's made by Rayovac.
I've seen them. I haven't bought one, but I've seen them. I think I saw them in Walmart a while back.
That's where
yeah.
That's where I got them at.
Well, I didn't add any more. Well, yes, I did. I added some food to the 50 pounds of corn, dried corn, and grind it up, make cornmeal and different things with that. I'm thinking about going with some oats, but I'm not sure if I want to go there. But I need to get a little grinder so I can grind up the corn and oats and whatever if I get more stuff. But
yeah, they're about $40 to $50.
Yeah, they depending on what price range, they got some higher dollar stuff, but you don't really have to go that high. They got some out there that I don't know why anybody want to spend that much on them, but there's some cheaper ones out there that are very functional and built well enough that that's probably where I'd go in that lower range. And they've been out there for a long time. It's been they've been proven for a long time that they work. Oh, I know. Mike, do you drink alcohol?
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Well, it's not like I never drink it, but...
Well, if I sent you some cough medicine one of these days, would you use it?
I doubt it. I don't even have a generator. The only alcohol I drink is wine, occasionally, maybe like once a year or something.
Hey, a correction on the...
That one would just send. I probably wouldn't drink it, honestly.
Well, I got the same question.
I don't mind tasting it, but I don't know that I would drink it.
Hey, correction on the wind-up flashlight. It's Energizer.
Energizer Bunny one?
Yeah, it's the Energizer, weather ready. And it's the backside's got like a clip where you can hang it up on something, and so anyway, it's not Eveready, it's an Energizer.
Al, do you drink alcohol?
Not really, not much.
Okay. Well, a friend of mine's putting together a still, and he asked me to come over when he's ready and help him get through some of the mistakes I made as I was making some, and just to do it together and have some fun. We haven't seen each other in a while. But I'm trying a new recipe where this one, you don't add yeast to it. You take corn, like feed corn, soak it for a couple of days, and then you let it sprout out, which is you're letting it malt. And then you grind it up. You dry it out, and then you grind it up, and you use that as part of your recipe for making your cough medicine. And supposedly, it's pretty good. If I get it done right, it's supposed to be pretty good. And they say that, the yeast is what gives people hangovers, or part of the problem with what gives hangovers, and that this won't do it. And that's one of the things, but plus doing it this way adds another taste to it, a different flavor to it. So I'm going to give it a try. And he's going to be making enough that I think I was just going to see if y'all wanted me to.
If you try making any out of grapes, you can send me some.
Out of grapes? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I was thinking about sending y'all both a pint. But if y'all don't,
I don't even know. I've never even tasted alcohol. I mean, liquor. I've never tasted it, so I don't even know if I'd like it.
Well, I don't think you would like this. I don't think most people would like it.
I mean, from the faces I've seen.
It's strong.
Yeah.
It'll wake you up really quick. But it was interesting to do as a project, and he wants to. So.
I mean, I've actually drank cough syrup before.
Well, I'll add a bunch of sugar to it and a little flavoring, and add some pepper in there, and it'll be your cough medicine.
You add some grape juice to it.
And some honey. And some grape juice.
Every better.
But there was a recipe where they were taking grapefruit juice and making it. And all kinds of different juices.
I know my son would probably end up getting into it.
Well, I bet it would take care of his cough.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll tell you what. I won't send any to y'all. I'll keep it all for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't drink either. So.
But it's a good juice. I know you'll be catching a cold down there in that chilly air.
Oh, yeah.
With the air conditioner running on high.
It's kind of warm in here.
Actually, we're supposed to have some cold weather next week. It's actually going to get down to 28 one night.
I think we're expecting something tomorrow night or Monday.
But that's only one night. It's going to be down in the 30s a couple nights. And
that's colder than it is here. It's been like 60 and 70.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, this is at night. Now, daytime, like today, it was, 70-something degrees today. It was great.
It's been pretty mild so far this year.
Yeah.
Well, we're due for a bad winter, but I've been saying that for like 5 years.
Yeah, wait till the Earth.
Yeah.
September 21st, when it all shifts around, we'll be on this.
There sure has been a lot of shows on that.
When the polar versus
so.
Well, I saw where I was watching. It's End of the Times, which is a religious show, and he was talking about it. He said he did a search on End of the World, and it was like 525 million websites that were talking about the end of the world in like December the 2012.
Yeah.
And it's like 525 million websites that are dedicated to that. It's like
you think the year 2000 hype just kind of got that all out of our system? I think. I don't think there's nearly as much hype this time around.
I really think what did a lot of it was the Y2K scare.
Yeah, that's
what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't realize was there really was, if they hadn't done anything, there would have been problems.
Yeah.
But there was massive effort during that year, or the year or so before that, of correcting, the issues with the critical systems and stuff that would have, messed up.
I guess the problem with this is we don't have anything concrete to fix.
Yeah. Well, back when the Y2K thing was going on, I kept hearing that there was a lot of effort, a lot of stuff being done to fix the problem. But even then I didn't trust the government, so I was wondering, well, how much of this is bullshit and how much is it, is the truth? And I never did take it real seriously, but I know Jim did. I mean, that's when he really got started on the kick of getting prepared for stuff, and we've always been that way, and he's always been a lot further into it than me, but he really started getting into it then, which I wish I would have gotten a little bit more into it then. I would have been done by now. Well, it's pretty much done.
Well,
Never really get done, but...
See, I was a programmer back during that time, and during the early 90s, I was programming in COBOL, which a lot of the stuff was back then. But I can remember then, writing date routines and stuff, and we would laugh. We'd make jokes. Well, that's going to work until till 2000, because we'd use 2-digit for the year,
Yeah.
And you start, if you're doing date routines where you were, subtracting years, you would hit 2000, you'd be taking 00, subtracting 57 from it, for instance, trying to calculate somebody's a number of years there, because that wasn't going to work. Up till 99 it would work, but we talked about it then, and I remember when it was getting close to 2000. I mean, there were companies, because a lot of people, different languages came about, during the middle to late 90s. Everybody started going to C and other languages. And COBOL, there just wasn't that many programmers around anymore that were doing COBOL. And so a lot of these companies, man, they were desperate hiring programmers to go and fix their code and stuff. And especially, like power plants and, the energy companies and stuff, they would have had serious problems if they hadn't have corrected it. And
Al, do you know I taught myself machine language code in high school? I was a bit of a geek.
You talk about assembler?
Yeah, assembly language, like binary.
Yeah.
That's some nasty programming there.
Well, yeah, the first computer I ever got was a kit computer.
Mm-hmm.
And all you had there was no keyboard, no video. You just had a hexadecimal keypad and
a hexadecimal keypad.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, and 8 LEDs. And I can remember I got a copy of a tic-tac-toe game, and I spent literally a week programming that thing in there, which was an assembler. But actually, no, it wasn't even assembler. It was I was using a hexadecimal keypad. But it took me it was in binary. It took me a whole week to program it in there. Then once I got it running, you couldn't turn it off because it wouldn't. There was no way to save.
Do you remember the handheld Coleco football game? It was like a little handheld game that had the little dots.
I remember it.
Like a football game?
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 dots. That was your lineman, and then there was like one dot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was trying to make that on my Apple IIe in assembly language. With the cursor and I do. I didn't get very far on it.
Well, it's kind of funny, you go back and look at the history of the Blip game, which was like the first Atari game where it was like tennis. Pong. That's what I'm trying to think of. Pong. This guy actually discovered that by accident. He was messing around with the television and I think it was that and an oscilloscope, and he came up with the idea of doing that from that. And I think it was a huge seller.
that guy became famous. Not.
Well, it's kind of interesting. The guy that worked for TI that invented, he invented the silicon chip. Died about the same time that Steve Jobs did.
Oh, really?
And Steve
Conspiracy
Jobs,
theory.
What?
They died close to the same time.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was within a couple of days apart, but yet Steve Jobs got all the media, and the guy that invented the silicon chip, which made everything possible,
Shit.
he didn't hardly mention. And the other thing that was funny about him, the company he came up with the idea. He was a new young engineer at Texas Instruments. And he invented that thing during the Christmas holiday when majority of the people were off on vacation, and he was like the youngest, newest guy there, so he didn't get vacation time, like the rest of them did. And so he was working at TI, and he was just there and came up with the whole plan and developed it while they were going on vacation. in like a 2-week period. In like a 2-week period, he developed that whole. The whole concept and got a working calculator was the first thing he did with it.
Well, before I forget, I was talking about conspiracy theory, the show. If y'all get a chance, go check it out sometime. There's be some fun stuff to talk about on there.
Oh, I have. I've recorded them.
All right. And maybe we'll bring that up a little bit. Only thing is, it's hard to find.
What channel is that on?
You don't have TV.
True. I get the internet. I can watch anything I want on the internet.
Well, the thing about it is, I tried to find it on the internet, and when you go to where it's at, you have to pay for it. But I think you could get it through Hulu or one of the other one. I think if you could get it through there, if you got that service. Well, I don't remember if it was Hulu Plus or if it was the other one, but
you might be able to download it on the on the iTunes. It's not, you pay 99 cents.
Yeah, and I was going to say at iTunes, I think it was 99 cents.
There's sites I get on accidentally sometimes that have all kinds of free stuff.
Oh yeah, you can find those sometimes. Accidents do happen.
I haven't found a show yet I can't watch.
Did you see?
He's got his black hat on too.
Did you see the one? Did you see the one on time travel?
Yes, I did.
Is that on like History Channel or something?
It's on True TV.
True TV.
True. Okay. It's called Conspiracy Theory.
Yeah.
Okay. Mel Gibson's not in it.
No.
I like that movie.
There's some pretty interesting stuff on that show.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, I saw this cartoon on Facebook. It says there's a kid sitting on Santa's lap. I don't know if you saw it or not. And the kid says, so if you know we've been sleeping and you know we're awake, when we're awake, and you know we've been bad or good, and he says, you're flying surveillance drones, aren't you?
Yeah, he got connections with them.
And then Santa looks like a shocked face.
Oh, well, if y'all don't have anything else that y'all want to get in, we've been on for quite a bit over an hour now. Then I think, but if y'all don't have anything, I don't really have anything else for tonight. I'm just going to remind everybody, my website is bestbugoutbagcontent.com. Go check it out. Spend some time over there. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments. Mike, the other one?
livefreenews.com. That's the site, the website for the show.
All right. And I guess that's it for tonight. It looked like we had somebody come into the chat and then left again. But no.
I was a sloppy agent.
I don't think they were there very long. They didn't leave anything in the chat.
He forgot to turn on the cloaking.
Well, at least Obama didn't come back in. Remember? All right. Remember, this is the No Obama Zone, and we don't have time for liberals, so don't stop by and mess with us because we don't have time for you. We're on Saturday nights, 10 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's politicsandpreppers@talkshoe.com. And that's it for tonight. We'll be back next week. And see y'all later. You got to hang around for a minute.
Okay.